Welcome to another video of Physics O Levels May June 2022 Paper 1 Variant 2. So let's start with this paper. A force of 3 Newton and 4 Newton acts on an object. What is the maximum possible resultant of these forces? The maximum possible resultant can only be found if two forces are in the same direction. So this 4 Newton force and this 3 Newton force, this has to be in same direction, and if they are in same direction they are added to get your resultant, which is 7 Newton. Length of copper wire is labeled 0.5 meters and diameter 0.5 millimeters. Which instruments are more suitable to measure accurately the length and the diameter of the wire? The length is 0.5, so that can be measured by meter rule, so C and D is wrong. And diameter is 0.5, so that can be measured by a micrometer, so that's B. The graph shows the speed time graph for the parachute who jumps from the plane but does not open his parachute immediately. At which point does he open this parachute? If you see, if he jumps from the plane, he accelerates at the start, and then starts the acceleration, the value of the acceleration starts to decrease, and there is a point when air resistance becomes equal to the weight of the object that reaches the terminal velocity. Then he opens the parachute and decelerates, because air resistance becomes greater than that of the weight, so that's why it decelerates. So it is at B. A 60 kg passenger enters a stationary lift. The gravitational field strength G is 10 Newton per kilogram. How much force does the floor on the lift exerts on the passenger when the lift accelerates upward at 2 meter per second square? Okay, so first of all we need to check out the resultant force, which is F is equals to ma. Since the passenger has a mass 60, so it is accelerating at 2 meter per second, so that's 120. This is a force which is a resultant force. Now we need to find out the force on the lift force of the lift exert on the passenger. So the force exerted by the lift minus the force exerted by passenger, which is the weight of the passenger, should be equal to resultant force. This is we need to find out. This is already we can apply W is equal to mg for this, and the resultant force we have calculated it already, so this is going to go and add up here, so that's 720 Newton. The diagram represents the moon in its orbit around the earth, which arrow represents the direction of the resultant force acting on the moon at the instant shown, so it is always towards the center of circle. Measuring cylinder contains water is placed on a balance. A stone is placed on a water into a water. The diagram shows the reading on the balance and on the measuring cylinder. What is the density? So for the weight we need to subtract these to get mass, not the weight, mass. Mass is 92.5 minus 55 point. So let's open the calculator. 92.5 minus 55, so that is 37.5, and the volume is, this is 35, this is 20, so that's 15. So now we're going to apply this. 37.5 divided by 15 divided by 15, we're going to get 2.5, that's C. The diagram shows a uniform solid rectangular block of weight 15 Newton pivoted at P. So this is a pivot. The height of the block is 40 centimeter. The base of the block is 8 centimeter wide. What is the horizontal force? F just makes the block starts to rotate about P. So right now it is in equilibrium. So the clockwise moment is equals to sum of anti-clockwise moment. Right now this weight is going to be going like this above the pivot, so that's an anti-clockwise, and force is going to move it like this, so that's clockwise. So clockwise is this force multiplied by the distance from the pivot, F into 40 is equals to this force, which is 50 Newton, multiplied by distance from the pivot. So since it is 8, so it is exactly at the half, so we will take 4. So 50 times 4. Now 40 will go and divide there. So 50 times 4 over 40. So that's 5. The center of mass of the solid rectangular block, at its center a small heavy weight is available. Which arrangement is the center of mass the lowest with the, so it should be on the face with the which has a greater area, so y has a greater area, so it should land on the y, but it says heavy weight attached centrally on the top. No, on the top is what is going to do is, when you want to apply some weight on the top, this is going to lift the center of gravity little upper. If it would have been attached at the bottom, this would have brought it down. So we're going to take this only face y on the table. Diagram shows how the extension of the spring depends on the force applied. What is the limit of proportionality? So that's C. It is a point where the graph shows a straight line. It is the end of the straight line. Elastic spring is unstretched length is 30 centimeter. The load of 6 newtons is hung from the spring, and the length spring is now 66. So the extension will be equals to 66 minus 30, so that is going to be 36 centimeter. 6 newton is removed when the spring turns to its original length. A load of 2 newton is now hung on the spring. What is the new length? So first of all, you are going to apply F is equals to kx to find the spring constant. Load was 6 when it was 36 as an extension, so 6 over 36 is equals to 1 over 6. This is our spring constant. So F is equals to 1 over 6x. So now we need to know the new length of the spring, and load is 2. So this is 2, this is 6. So this is going to be 12. Extension is 12. Already it is 30. So 30 plus 12 is going to be 42 centimeters. A barometer is an instrument that used to measure an atmospheric pressure. One type of barometer, the height of the liquid the test tube is measured. Which diagram does the height of each represent the atmospheric pressure? First of all, this is not a barometer. Barometer always is closed from the top, so this is also wrong. There should be no air, so that should also wrong. So it should be a vacuum, and this is a H, yes, so that's correct. A mercury manometer, manometer contains a mercury with the density this. Manometer is connected to the gas supply. The difference in the height is this. Atmospheric pressure is this. What is the pressure of the gas? So that's very easy. First of all, you will apply rho gh, and then you're going to add atmospheric pressure into it, because this, when you going to apply rho gh, this is the pressure difference, not the actual pressure of the gas. So you'll need to add atmospheric pressure to get the total atmospheric pressure. So I'm going to take 14,000 as my density. G is 10. Now for H you need to convert this into meters, so this is 0.072 plus 100 k pascals is to be taken. So let's use our calculator. This is 14,000 times 10 times 0.072, and you need to add 100,000 into it, so that is C. Which device provide a continuous and steady energy output for the longest time? Solar panel, no, it is for like when sun is there, heat is there, that it provides only sunlight energy. Then a 1.5 cell will run out at some time. Wind energy will be there when it is wind generator will be there when there will be a wind. So nuclear reactor can provide a continuous steady. A load is pulled by the rope attached to the motor. The resultant force exerted by the rope on the load is shown in the diagram. In each diagram, the load is moved in the direction of the force. Takes 10 seconds, travels 1 meter. Diagram does the motor work the greatest power. So power is equals to energy over time. Energy is force into distance over time. Now since distance is same, time is same, so it will be dependent on the force. Greater the force, greater the power, so the greatest power force is A. Electric energy supplied to the kettle is 600 kilojoules. On this energy, 45 kilojoules is transferred to the surrounding and 15 kilojoules is used to heat the casing of the kettle. The remaining energy is used to heat the water. What is the efficiency of the kettle? Since these two are the wastage energies, so you need to subtract 60 kilojoules from it, so you'll be get 540, which is a useful out of this 600 times 100%. So that is going to give you 540 divided by 600. Since it's not in percentages, so you'll take in decimals. How is the heat transfer through the vacuum of the space from the sun to the moon's surface? It is always radiation, because convection and conduction requires material medium, means the particles of the air. A metal cube contains a boiling water. Each vertical face of the cube is painted with a different color and has a different texture. Identical thermometers are held at equal distance from each vertical face, which near which face does the thermometer read the greatest temperature. So we need the one which is going to be a good absorber. So dull and black surfaces are good absorbers. 18, its ice point is given as 2, steam point is given as 12, and it says at what temperature the 30-degree measure. So 30 is equals to x naught minus 2, sorry, x theta minus x naught, which is 2 over x 100, which is 12, minus x naught into 100. So it is going to be 10. 10 is going to go and multiply, so that's going to be 300 divided by 100, which is going to be 3. So negative 2 will go and add up there, so it's going to be 5. A liquid glass thermometer consists of the bulb containing a liquid which expands into a thin capillary tube. The liquid in thermometer is replaced with the same volume of different liquid that expands more for the same temperature rise. The length of the capillary tube remains the same. How does the new thermometer compare with the old one? So since it is going to rise, expand more for the same temperature rise, so it is going to be a greater sensitivity, but the range will be smaller as the length of the tube is not changed. Steam at 110 degrees Celsius condenses on the surface of to form a water droplet at 100 degrees Celsius. What happens after the steam comes to into contact with the surface? Uh, so the molecule slows down and absorbs energy from the surrounding. The molecule slows down and emit energy. Yes. So it is always when the particle slows down, they emit energy, not they do not absorb it. When they're going to absorb it, they're going to their speed is going to increase. which list shows the state of matter in order of expansion from smallest to greatest for the same temperature rise. So expansion order is from smallest to greatest. So solids they expand the least, liquid expands a little greater, and gases expand the most. So it's D. Which road describes the boiling and evaporation of the liquid? Boiling bubbles through forms throughout the liquid. Yes. Occurs at any temperature? No, it does not. It does not. So only A or B is the right answer. Occurs only at one temperature. Evaporation occurs at different temperatures. Produces cooling. So B is the right answer. A hair dryer is used to blow air across the surface of the water in the beaker so that the water evaporates. What increases the rate of evaporation of water? So rate of evaporation is increased. Decreases the speed of? No. Decreases the mass? No. Increases surface area? Yes, surface area is dependent on the evaporation. Increases the volume? Does not. So C is the right answer. The diagram shows the ray PQ reflected by the mirror X and the parallel mirror Y. The reflected ray along RS is parallel to PQ. Okay. Which statement is correct? The angle between PQ and QR is 45. PQ and QR is not 45, that's 90, because this is 45, this is also 45. The angle between QR and RS is 180. No, that's wrong, that's also 90. The angle of incidence of PQ on the mirror X is 60. No, that's 45. The angle of incidence QR on the mirror Y is 45. Yes, that's 45, because these two will also be parallel, these normals, so this is going to be a 45 as well. An object viewed through a thin converging lens. The diagram shows the path of the two rays at the top of the object of an eye. Since the image is being formed on the same side of the mirror, so it is going to be upright, virtual, and larger. So it is a larger and upright. You need to remember this. If the image is being formed on the other side of the mirror, like here, it will be always inverted, it will always be real. So it can be diminished, it can be magnified. But on this side, when the image is being formed, it will be magnified, it will be virtual, and it will be upright. Violet and indigo light has a shortest wavelength in the spectrum of visible light. Which three colors in order of increasing wavelength immediately follows indigo? So it is, this is the spectrum, this is violet, this is indigo, this is blue, green, yellow, orange. Blue, green, and yellow. So it's B. A sound wave passes through the substance. The diagram shows the position of the molecules of substance at the point at time. Which type of the wave is a sound wave, and what is that X? It is always a longitudinal wave, and since the particles are closer to each other, so there is a compression. A man stands between the two tall building P and Q. He is 50 meter from P and 200 meter from Q. He sounds a horn. He hears the first echo from the building P. 1 second later, he hears the second echo. Here's the first echo from the building Q. What is the speed of the sound calculated using the information? So when he's going to hear the first sound, the sound will travel 100 meter, 50 meter to this side, 50 meter to this side. For the second sound, it would have already traveled 100 meters, since because the speed of sound is same in the air. So now the when you're going to hear the second sound, it will travel 300 meters after you hear the first sound. 100 meter to this direction and 200 back. So total 300 meters traveled in 1 second. So that is 300 meter per second. 29. Which one of the uses of ultrasound? Ultrasound is used in cleaning jewelries. It's not in fluorescent tube, it's not optical fiber, it's not sunbed. UVs are used in some sunbeds. A positively charged rod is held on an uncharged metal sphere in insulating stand. What is the distribution of the charge sphere? Since it's a positive charge, so it will be negative to this side and positive to this side, and it will not be in earth, so the charge will not flow. So it's C. Two metasphere are mounted on the insulated stand. Sphere X is initially uncharged, sphere Y is initially positively charged. Metal rod is held by insulating handle, is placed in contact with the X and Y as shown. What are the charges on X and Y after the rod is placed in contact with them? That's easy. Since it's in contact with the sphere, remember one thing: whenever the something is touching the sphere, it will get the same charge. So Y is positive charge, so X will get positive charge as well. The diagram shows a simple electric circuit which will describe the charge of an electron, direction of the electron flow through the resistor. So it will always from negative to positive, so it is going to be from Y to X. So Y to X, Y to X. So these two are wrong. And the charge on the electron is negative, so that's B. The charge of 0.4 coulomb passes through the resistor in 1 second. In 2 seconds, 20 joules of energy, thermal energy is produced in the resistor. What is the potential difference across the resistor? First of all, I'll calculate Q is equal to IT. Uh, 0.4 is a charge, 1 is a so it's 0.4 amperes. Energy is given, so we're going to use E is equals to VIT. Energy is 20 joules. Voltage we need to find out. Potential difference, current is 0.4 and time is 2 seconds, so it is 20 divided by 0.8, so I'm going to multiply by 10, and so that's going to be 200 over 8, so that is going to be 25. The diagram shows a simple electric circuit which measures the current in the resistor R2. It is D because ammeter is always placed in a parallel, and he is asking for the resistance R2, so it is going to be D. When a flash on the camera is used, the charge of 1.5 flows through 0.0 seconds. The average voltage across the lamp is this. What is the electrical energy supplied to the lamp? What is the average power supplied? So first of all, power is equals to, I'm going to say P is equals to V I. For I, we're going to use Q over T is equals to I. Our charge is given 1.5, our time is 0.0030. So let's see what our calculator gives us. This value 1.5 divided by 0.003, so that's 500. Oh sorry, yes, 500. So voltage is given 3600 times 500, that is going to give you the power. Just 1 minute. Where's the calculator gone? I need to open it again. So it is 3600 multiplied by 500, so that is this. And since we don't need to calculate energy because there is only one answer of power here, if you want to calculate the energy is equals to PT. So you going to multiply this power by this time. The diagram shows the electrical circuit. Which lamp when switch which lamp lights when the switch S1 is closed and S2 is open, and S2 is open, so this is not going to get on. These two will be switched on, so L1 and L2 is going to light up. The diagram shows a hair dryer. Which statement explains why a hair dryer does not need a earth wire? it has a live wire. It always has a live wire. That has nothing to do with the other thing. It has a neutral wire. Yes, it has a neutral wire. It is a double insulation. uh, yes, this can be one of the factors. The cable is always insulated, so it is C. And it has a plastic body that is used as insulation. Left hand can be used to determine the direction of the force when the current carrying conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field, which quantity represents by the direction of finger P, Q and R. This one is the index finger. It will always be representing field. This R is will always be direction of current, and P will always be the force. So Q P is force. So that's wrong. That's wrong. Q is field and R is current. So it is D. As a magnet is moved into the coil of the wire as shown, there is a small positive reading on the sensitive ammeter. Which change must increase the size of the reading? Moving in opposite, no, it is going to change the direction of the deflection but not the size of the reading. Pulling the magnet out of the coil, that again can change it but does not increase the size. Pushing the magnet faster, yes, this can be one of the reason. Unwinding, no, that's not. So C is the right answer. Because if you want to increase the speed of this magnet, there will be a change, rate of change of magnetic flux will be faster, therefore the size of the current will be faster. The electric power is transmitted by the cable over the long distances at a very high voltages. What are the effects of using high voltage transmission system? Power loss in the cable should be low and the current in the cable should be low. That's why it is transmitted at higher voltages. So that's it. I hope I've tried to solve it as quick as possible and try to explain as detailed as possible so that you can get every depth of every question. See you in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.